Greetings! What's up, boys and girls? Muzzafuzza here, and we're playing the Diablo 3 beta once again today. I'm on my Witch Doctor, and today we're going to be doing an active skills guide for the Witch Doctor. If you've been watching my Diablo 3 videos, you probably know that I've been doing active skills guide and passive skills guide for all the classes in this game. And today we're going to be talking about none other than probably my favorite class, the Witch Doctor. So let's open up the skills menu. You guys can see right now that I've got Plague of Toads, Summon Zombie Dogs, Corpse Spiders, and Spirit Walk, and I just wanted to show you guys these abilities before we get started. Check out these spiders. Throw one there, one there, one there, one there. They die after about 3 seconds, but god damn, these are some creepy spiders. They look like, not black widows, but like just really creepy little spiders, but they're not that little compared to my zombie dogs. They're like half the size of a zombie dog, so these are some big spiders. And then also I've got Plague of Toads, which is right here, and they send out giant exploding acid toads of doom at your enemies, and your guy actually like screams when he throws them out, and it makes a big pile of acid wherever they explode. So that's awesome. I think the active skills on the Witch Doctor are pretty badass, and today we're going to be doing a guide for them, so let's get it started. The Witch Doctor has 3 different trees of skills, just like any other class in this game. They've got Physical Realm, Spirit Realm, and Command. And we're going to start from the top and just work our way down. So the first active skill in the Physical Realm is called Poison Dart. Costs 92 mana, shoots a deadly poison dart. Now this is pretty good because it actually does some poison damage over time, but in the active skill descriptions it doesn't show exactly how much damage they do anymore. I don't know why they changed it, but it just doesn't. But I don't really use Poison Dart anymore. I used it when I was first leveling up, but after you get a lot more explosive abilities, it's not quite as useful. The second one is called Plague of Toads. I already showed you guys this. It's a handful of toads that explode on contact, and it costs 110 mana. Third one, Zombie Charger, costs 119 mana. A reckless zombie charges forth, damaging enemies in its way. This one is pretty cool because it actually does like multiple damage to multiple enemies, because it can just go through a big group of people, but it doesn't actually go that far. I think it only goes like 5 yards in front of you before it kind of withers away. Moving on to Corpse Spiders, costs 147 mana, toss a jar full of spiders on location. And like I said, I can just cast this one with my right-click mouse button, and those spiders will attack anyone in their way. Pretty cool. Moving on to Fire Bats, this is probably my favorite ability right now. Costs 92 mana, call forth a swarm of fiery bats. This one's awesome because they actually come shooting out of your mouth, which is just insane. And you can just keep holding the button to keep casting the spell. And I think that counts for any spell where there's no cooldown, which is kind of nice. Moving on to Firebomb. Lob a skull that explodes on impact. Costs 138 mana, and this one does kind of a big explosion. This is what I was talking about, where you can hit multiple enemies at once. Does some AoE damage, and it's also a very, very good skill that you can get some big crits with. Moving on to the first one that I don't have, Locust Swarm. 218 mana costs, and locusts assault enemies jumping between targets. This is awesome because you send out a bunch of locusts, a bunch of little insects that are going to attack the fuck out of your enemies, and they go from enemy to enemy, kind of like Hungering Arrow on the Demon Hunter, so that's pretty useful. Moving on to Acid Cloud. 368 mana, acid rains down on an area. This is another AoE, and I think it's probably that you choose what area, like a big part of the map, that you want to rain down acid from an acid cloud on, and that should be pretty goddamn cool as well. I can't wait to play with all these high level abilities. And the final one is called Wall of Zombies. Costs 291 mana, and it sends a line of zombies to attack nearby enemies. So rather than just one zombie that you get with Zombie Charger up here, you get a full defensive lineman attack of zombies, just a full football squad of zombies that are going to charge at your enemies and probably explode, I'm guessing. I don't really know what they're going to do, if they're the same as the Charger zombie, but probably a badass skill, one of those ones that I can't wait to try out. Moving on to the Spirit Realm abilities, the first one is called Haunt, costs 55 mana, a spirit damages an enemy moving on if the host dies, and an enemy can only be affected by one haunt at a time. So this is one of those abilities that you can spam over and over, but it'll only be on one person at a time, one enemy at a time, and if that person dies while they're being haunted, it'll pass on to the next one. So it's kind of like one of those abilities that'll travel between targets, and it gives a cool animation. All these Spirit Realm abilities have kind of an eerie feel to them. They're pretty badass. The second one is called Horrify, costs 23 mana, 20-second cooldown, scare away nearby enemies. This is an AoE on wherever you're at within a few yards. You'll send all enemies around you running away in fear for a few seconds. So it's kind of like an AoE fear attack. Pretty useful, especially in PvP if you're trying to get people off your Witch Doctor. It's probably pretty useful for the arena PvP that we're going to be seeing when the full game comes out. Moving on to Spirit Walk, this is the one I've got on right now. Costs 92 mana, it's got a 15-second cooldown, and it causes you to become invisible and walk unhindered. And I think it's only for 2 or 3 seconds. It doesn't even list how long the abilities last, but I'll use it right now, and you can see it's 2 or 3 seconds, but it gives you a little bit of movement speed buff, causes you to be invisible. You don't collide with enemies and stuff, so you can just run around unhindered. So it's useful for a getaway if you need to get out of there and stop taking damage. Moving on to Soul Harvest, costs 37 mana, 15-second cooldown, draw upon the life force of enemies to increase your intelligence for 30 seconds. So this is just kind of a self-buff that you do by harvesting the soul of an enemy, and it gives you increased intelligence, which is what gives you more damage for 30 seconds. So it's pretty useful for a Witch Doctor. Moving on to Spirit Barrage, costs 95 mana, bombard a target with a spirit bolt that can travel long distances and over some obstructions. So this is cool because it can go really long distance. You can shoot pretty much all the way across the map, and it'll also even go over some obstructions. So I'm guessing it'll go through walls, it'll go over crates and stuff like that. And it's one of those abilities, one of those skill shots that you can do from pretty far away. And the last one in the Spirit Realm is called Mass Confusion. This is awesome. Costs 198 mana. It's got a minute-long cooldown, a 60-second cooldown, and it says, through mental deception and illusion, trick your enemies into fighting each other. Now, I don't know how long they're going to fight each other, but this is just a huge confusion. You'll cause all your enemies to attack each other for a while. I'm guessing it probably won't work on boss mobs or even elite mobs, but for clearing packs of trash mobs and stuff like that, probably pretty useful to have them all attack each other, even if for just a few seconds probably. And moving on to the third tree for the Witch Doctor, it's the Command Tree. And the first ability that you get is Summon Zombie Dogs. I've got my Zombie Dogs out right now. You can check them out. I'll do a little zoom in. They're these cool little purple-haired zombie dog creatures, and they're really muscular and weird looking. But they're awesome. Like they do a lot of damage, and they help you out by soaking up some of the damage that you would be taking if they weren't there. And we're just going to move on because the zombie dogs are pretty basic. It's just like the golems or the skeletons from Diablo 2. The second command ability is called Grasp of the Dead, costs 28 mana, it's got an 8-second cooldown, and it says hands from the ground slow enemy movement speed. Anything that causes enemy movement speed to be slowed is probably good for melee only enemies that have to get up close to you to do damage, or useful in PvP arena if you want to slow down the enemy team. That's probably pretty useful as well. But as far as PvE elements, I would rather have a lot of damage than something that just simply slows people's movement speed. So it's kind of like the Demon Hunter traps. I don't think I'll be using it too much. Moving on to Hex. Costs 92 mana, it's got a 10-second cooldown, and it actually summons a little, I can't remember what they're called, fetishes, I think. Summons one of those little shaman fetishes, and he turns people into chickens for you. An enemy turns into a chicken, and when they're a chicken, they take extra damage. It used to actually say like how much extra damage they would take, and it used to talk about the fetish, but they really tightened up all the descriptions of the abilities for some reason. So I don't know exactly how much extra damage they take, but when you turn an enemy into a chicken, they take lots of extra damage, and it's just hilarious in itself to turn people into chickens. So it's awesome. Moving on to Sacrifice. A word of power causes all your zombie dogs to explode. Now, if you combine this with the passive skill that gives you 4 zombie dogs, this could be really useful because just having 3, that's 3 big explosions that would do some AoE damage, especially if they're out like attacking a group of enemies. Counter that with having 4 zombie dogs or even extra zombie dogs through that other passive skill that allows zombie dogs to pop out of nowhere. You could make some exploding zombie dog madness happen pretty easily. So that's Sacrifice. Moving on to Gargantuan, costs 314 mana, 45-second cooldown, summon a Gargantuan zombie to fight alongside you. I can't wait to see this one. I'm guessing it's just a big-ass giant zombie that fights with you eternally, and I'm pretty sure you can snack it with your zombie dogs. So, I mean, you could have zombie dogs, you could have toads, spiders, and then a big-ass zombie, and then a charger zombie, and a wall of zombies. The Witch Doctor is looking to be pretty awesome. Probably my favorite class in the game so far. Just because of these badass skills. Moving on to Big Bad Voodoo, 120-second cooldown. A fetish performs a ritual dance, increasing the speed of all allies in the area. Now, I don't know if this affects movement speed only, or maybe it throws in some attack speed as well, but it looks like it's just a pretty big buff that you can give to your team when you're doing team like dungeon raiding or even PvP, and it's got a 2-minute cooldown, but you can shave off some of that cooldown with a passive skill. Once you hit, like, I think it's probably like in the high 20s, something like that, because you get this one at level 25. But we move on to our last and final active skill for this active skills guide. It's called Fetish Army. Another 2-minute cooldown, 120-second cooldown, and it says summons an army of dagger-wielding fetishes. Now, rather than just having one when you cast Hex or one gargantuan zombie, this is a full army of dagger-wielding fetishes. So I can't wait to see this one as well. That's probably going to be the most badass spell that you get as a Witch Doctor, because it is the highest level active skill that you can get at level 29. It's unlocked. But that's about it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this active skills guide for the Witch Doctor. I'm going to peace on out of here and go make some food because I am hungry. But I hope you guys enjoy these Diablo 3 videos because I enjoy making them for you. So if you guys liked it, leave me a like, maybe a favorite, maybe a comment. Whatever you can do to support the videos would be appreciated. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Facebook, the links to those are down below in the description. I also have a live stream. I don't know if you guys know this, but I live stream on twitch.tv/Muzzafuzza. And there's a little follow button you can click on there as well to get alerted when I do any future live streams. Because when Diablo 3 comes out, the full game, I'm going to be live streaming every single day. So I'm pretty stoked. But this has been Muzzafuzza. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Let's throw some frogs. Well, I guess they're not frogs. They're toads. Acid toads. Get them. Get them, acid toads. Get them. Oh, yeah.